Good day, everyone. Welcome to Lesson 2 of Drizzle Knows. If this is your first time in my channel, please care to like the video lesson, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you will always be updated with the videos that I would create. Today, I am inviting you to have a glimpse of Philippine mythology. Have you ever been fascinated with Zeus and his equally powerful gods and goddesses in Mount Olympus of Greek mythology? Or were you a fan of Jupiter and the rest of the Roman gods and goddesses? Maybe you have also wished that Filipinos may also have counterparts for them. Maybe you have also dreamt that sometime before there was a Zeus or a Jupiter here in the Philippines. Well then, join me in an adventure to meet the gods and goddesses of Philippine mythology. The deities of Philippine mythology are comprised of the gods, goddesses, and diwatas, or fairies that were venerated by Filipinos during the ancient time, way back before the Christianization of our ancestors. They may not be as famous as the gods and goddesses of other countries, but they have comparable features and attributes compared to them. Now let us meet the ancient Philippine deities. Let us begin our journey with the triad of the first gods. First in line is, of course, Bathala. Bathala is the supreme god of the Tagalogs. He is known as the creator of man and earth. He is addressed sometimes as Bathalang May Kapal, dwells in kaluwalhatian together with the lesser gods and goddesses, and sent his anitos in order to assist the daily lives of every human. When most of the natives were converted to Christianity during the Spanish era, he was referred to the Christian God. Next, meet Galang Kaluluwa. Galang Kaluluwa is the wandering spirit in English. He is a winged god who loves to travel, and he is identified as the close friend of Bathala, sometimes the brother. And the last of the three gods is Ulilang Kaluluwa. Ulilang Kaluluwa is known as the orphaned spirit in English. He is a serpent living in the clouds and wanted the earth and the universe for himself. He was killed by Bathala. According to the Aswang Project, this is the story of creation in the Philippine mythology. In the beginning of time, there were three powerful gods who lived in the universe. Bathala was the caretaker of the earth. Ulilang Kaluluwa is a huge serpent who lives in the clouds. And Galang Kaluluwa is the winged god who loves to travel. These three gods did not know each other. Bathala often dreamt of creating mortals, but the empty earth stops him from doing so. Ulilang Kaluluwa, who was equally lonely as Bathala, liked to visit places, and the earth was his favorite. One day, the two gods met. Ulilang Kaluluwa, seeing another god rivaling him, was not pleased. He challenged Bathala to a fight to decide who would be the ruler of the universe. After 3 days and 3 nights, Ulilang Kaluluwa was slain by Bathala. Instead of giving him a proper burial, Bathala burned the snake's remains. A few years later, the third god, Galang Kaluluwa, wandered into Bathala's home. He welcomed the winged god with much kindness and even invited him to live in his kingdom. They became true friends and were very happy for many years. Galang Kaluluwa became very ill. Before he died, he instructed Bathala to bury him on the spot where Ulilang Kaluluwa's body was burned. Bathala did exactly as he was told. Out of the grave of the two dead gods grew a tall tree with a big round nut, which is the coconut tree. Bathala took the nut and husked it. He noticed that the inner skin was hard. The nut itself reminded him of Galang Kaluluwa's head. It had two eyes, a nose, and a round mouth. Its leaves looked so much like the wings of his dear winged friend. But the trunk was hard and ugly, like the body of his enemy, the snake Ulilang Kaluluwa. Bathala realized that he was ready to create the creatures he wanted with him on earth. He created the vegetation, animals, and the first man and woman. Bathala built a house for them out of the trunk and leaves of the coconut trees. For food, they drank the coconut juice and ate its delicious white meat. Its leaves, they discovered, were great for making mats, hats, and brooms. Its fiber could be used for rope and many other things. Next, let us meet the other gods and goddesses of Philippine mythology. They are the residents of Kaluwalhatian. First, Amanicable. Amanicable is the ill-tempered god of the sea. He never married after his love was spurned by a beautiful mortal maiden, Maganda. He swore vengeance because of this against the humans by sending turbulent waves and horrible tempests in order to wreck boats and to drown men. Next is Idianale. Idianale is known by the Tagalogs as the goddess of animal husbandry and aquaculture, by others the goddess of agriculture. She is in charge of animal welfare and aquatic resources. She usually lives in the woods and guards the animals from hunters, also on waters, and takes in charge of the fishes and other marine life. For natives used to call her for guidance in order to make their works successful. Next, Dumangan. Dumangan is the god of good harvest. He is married to Idianale and they had two offsprings. Next we have Lakampati. Lakampati is the major fertility deity of the ancient Tagalogs. She is a hermaphrodite deity. She was commented by some authors and friars as the hermaphrodite devil who satisfies his carnal appetite with men and women. She was worshipped in the fields during planting time. She was often confused with Ikapati from variant Tagalog pantheons. During sacrifices made in a new field, the farmer would hold up a child and say, "Lakapati, pakanin mo yaring alipin mo, wag mong gutumin." Or in English, "Lakapati, feed this thy slave, let him not hunger." Prominent among deities who received full-blown sacrifices were fertility gods. Lakampati, fittingly represented by a hermaphrodite image with both male and female parts, was worshipped in the fields. Next we have Ikapati. Ikapati is the goddess of cultivated land. She is the most understanding and kind among the deities of Bathala. Her gift to man was agriculture. She is a benevolent giver of food and prosperity. And she is married to Mapulon, the mother also of Anagolay. Next we have the husband, Mapulon. Mapulon is the god of seasons and good health. He is the husband of Ikapati and the father of Anagolay. Next is Mayari. Mayari is the goddess of the moon and one of the three daughters of Bathala by mortal woman. She is the most charming of all the goddesses, and she had two sisters, namely Tala and Hanan. Next, Tala. Tala is the goddess of the stars. She is the sister of Mayari and Hanan, and one of the three daughters of Bathala by a mortal woman. Next we have Hanan. Hanan is the goddess of mourning. She is the sister of Mayari and Tala, and one of the three daughters of Bathala by a mortal woman. Next we have Dumakulem. Dumakulem is the strong, agile guardian of the mountains. He is the son of Idianale and Dumangan, and his sister was Anitun Tabo. He later married Anagolay. Dumakulem is often depicted as a strong and skillful hunter. Their marriage produced two children, Apolaki, the sun god, and Dian Masalanta, the goddess of lovers. Next we have Anitun Tabo. Anitun Tabo is the fickle-minded goddess of wind and rain. She is the daughter of Idianale and Dumangan and the sister of Dumakulem. Anitun Tabo, according to Filipino.net, in Zambales, this goddess was known also as Anitun Tao, one of the lesser deities assisting their chief god Malayari. Legend has it that Anitun Tao was once considered superior to other Zambales deities. She became so full of herself that Malayari reduced her rank as a punishment. The Zambales people used to offer her with the best kind of pinipig or pounded young rice grains during harvest season. Sacrifices that made use of these ingredients are known as mamyarag in their local dialect. Next, Anagolay. Anagolay is the goddess of lost things. She is the only offspring of Ikapati and Mapulon, and she got married to Dumakulem. Filipino.net announced an interesting fact about this. In September of 2014, the Minor Planet Center, or MPC, the international agency responsible for naming minor bodies in the solar system, officially gave the name Anagolay to an asteroid first discovered in 1982 by E.F. Helen at the Palomar Observatory. See, that's so cool. Next is Apolaki. Apolaki is the god of the sun. He was also known as the patron of warriors and the son of Anagolay and Dumakulem. based on the explanation given by Filipino.net. In other stories, however, Apolaki was in fact the son of the supreme god of the ancient Tagalogs, Bathala. The book, Philippine Myths, Legends, and Folktales by Maximo Ramos contains the story of how the sun became brighter than the moon. In the said myth, Bathala sired two children from a mortal woman. He named his son Apolaki and his daughter Mayari. Both children had eyes so bright that they became the source of light for the rest of the world. When Bathala died, Apolaki and Mayari both wanted to succeed their father. A long, bloody argument ensued as neither one of them wanted to give up the throne. The fight reached the boiling point when Apolaki hit Mayari's face with a wooden club, blinding her one eye. Cooler heads prevailed, and both agreed to just take turns in ruling the world. Apolaki now occupies the throne during daytime, while Mayari, the moon goddess, provides the cool and gentle light during nighttime, for she is blind in one eye. Next is Libulan. Libulan is the god of the moon, and he is the patron god of homosexuality. He is also a hermaphrodite and a cross-dresser, and it is said that he had a relationship with Sidapa, the god of death. Next we have Sidapa. Sidapa is the Bicolano and Visayan god of death. He is a lover to Libulan or Bulan, and he measures the life of all newborn. Sometimes he also extends the life of the dying. Next, Dian Masalanta. Dian Masalanta is the goddess of love, conception, and childbirth. She is also the protector of lovers and the daughter of Anagolay and Dumaculem. She is the youngest of all the deities. After the conversion of the natives to Christianity during the Spanish era, she was then referred as Maria Makiling. Dian Masalanta is also known for the sacrifices that were offered to her to ensure successful pregnancies. Next, Aman Sinaya. Aman Sinaya is the goddess of the sea, the protector of fishermen too, and she is known as the rival of Bathala. Next, Haik. Haik is the god of the sea and honored by sea travelers for a safe and successful voyage. Next, we have Amihan. Amihan is a genderless deity that is depicted as a bird. He is the first creature that is said to inhabit the universe, and the deity of peace. Next, we have the three Anitos. Not all deities of Philippine mythology lived in the sky with Bathala. Some of them coexisted with the ancient Tagalogs and were easily invoked during religious ceremonies headed by a Catalonan. Spanish lexicographers called these supernatural beings Anito, Bathala's agents who were assigned specific functions. Three of the most interesting minor deities actually had names that rhymed together. Lacanbacod, Lacandanum, and Lacambini. Lacambacod. Lacambacod is the protector of growing crops. He is also known as the healer of diseases. Lacambacod or Lacan Bacod in other sources was described as a deity who had gilded genitals as long as a rice stalk. Lacambacod was the lord of fences, a protector of crops, powerful enough to keep animals out of farmlands. Hence, he was invoked and offered eels when fencing a plot of land. Next we have Lakambini. Lakambini is known as the pure maiden for his incomparable beauty. Ironic that he is a male Diwata. He is the god of purity, food, festivity, and anti-gluten. He is also worshipped mainly by men who pray to find a beautiful maiden to marry. According to Filipino.net, up until the 19th century, Lacambiri had been the name given to an anito whom Fray San Buenaventura described as Diyos-Diyosang sumasakop sa mga may sakit sa lalamunan. In simple English, this minor deity was invoked by our ancestors to treat throat ailments. The third is Lacandanum. Lacandanum is the ruler of the waters. He is sometimes depicted as a serpent-like mermaid. Before the Spaniards arrived, they would often throw livestock to the river as a peace offering for Lacandanum. Failure to do so resulted in long periods of drought. Next we have the Tres Marias, or the Three Fairies, or Diwata of Philippine mythology. The first is Mariang Makiling. She is a lambana or a fairy or a forest nymph. She is the most famous of all the enchantresses and the protector and guardian of Mount Makiling located in Los Baños, Laguna. One superstition about her is that every so often men would disappear into the forests of the mountain. It is said that Makiling has fallen in love with that particular man and has taken him to her house to be her husband, there to spend his days in matrimonial bliss. Another superstition says that one can go into the forests and pick and eat any fruits one might like, but never carry any of them home. In doing so, one runs the risk of angering Maria Makiling. One would get lost and be beset by insect stings and thorn pricks. The only solution is to throw away the fruit and then to reverse one's clothing as evidence to Maria that one is no longer carrying any of her fruit. Second Maria is Mariang Sinukuan. She is the resident and protector of Mount Arayat, located in Arayat, Pampanga. She brings bountiful harvests from the mountain's fruit trees. Last, we have Maria Cacao, who dwells in Mount Lantoy, Argao, Cebu, where she had cacao trees, hence a plantation outside her own cave. After harvest, rain comes that wash down the mountain, enabling her to float down to the towns below in her golden ship to sell her products. The basic form of the legend is that whenever rains flood the river that comes from Mount Lantoy, or a bridge is broken, this is a sign that Maria Cacao and her husband Mangao have either traveled down the river in their golden ship so that they can export their crops, or traveled up the river on their way back. The stories of Philippine mythology will never be more exciting if there are no harmful gods and deities. Let us meet them one by one. First is Sitan. Sitan is an ancient dark god. He is the god of Kasanaan, or the lower world, and he is assisted by many mortal agents. In Outline of Philippine Mythology, F. Landahocano wrote, the ancient Tagalogs also believed in the final judgment of men, that is, the punishing of the evil and the rewarding of the good. The souls of good men were said to be taken to a village of rest called Maka, which resembled the Christian paradise, where they enjoyed eternal peace and happiness. However, those who deserved punishment were brought to Kasanaan, the village of grief and affliction, where they were tortured forever. These souls were kept there by the chief deity named Sitan. Next we have Mangagawai. She is the most wicked agent of Sitan and the bringer of diseases. He possesses a necklace of skulls and girdle out of severed human heads and feet. Sometimes she would change herself into a human being and roam about the countryside as a healer. She could induce maladies with her charms. If she wished to kill someone, she did so by her magic wand. She could also prolong death, even for a number of months, by simply binding to the waist of her patient a live serpent which was believed to be her real self, or at least her substance. The second agent is named as Manisilat. She is sometimes known as the goddess of broken homes. Manisilat was said to be restless and mad whenever there was a happy home within sight, and when she was determined to destroy every such happy home, she would disguise as a woman healer or an old beggar, enter the dwelling of her unsuspecting victims, and then proceed with her diabolical aims. With the aid of her charms and magic powers, she would turn the husband and wife against each other. She was most happy when the couple quarreled, and she would dance in glee when one of them would leave the conjugal home. Next is Mankuholang, the third agent of Sitan. His duty was to emit fire at night, and pretends to be a priest doctor. Like his fellow agents, he often assumed human form and went around the villages pretending to be a priest doctor. Then he would wallow in the filth beneath the house of his victim and emit fire. If the fire was extinguished immediately, the victim would die. The last is Hukloban, the fourth agent of Sitan. She is a shape shifter and can kill anyone simply by raising her hand. She had the power to change herself into any form she desired. In fact, some people said that she had greater power than Mangagawai. However, if she wanted to heal those whom she had made ill by her charms, she could do so without any difficulty. It was also said that she could destroy a house by merely saying that she would do so. That ends our journey in meeting the gods and goddesses of Philippine mythology. If you would like to know more about their stories, you can check the following references that I have also used in this lesson. Watch out for the second part of this lesson. That would be Philippine mythical creatures. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. I hope you learned a lot.